Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenhead, the Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post at Pashat Behar is going to discuss resilience. At the end of the Pasha, we read about the Jewish slave to a non-Jewish master, and he is warned to not serve Avodah Zarah, to keep Shabbos, and to have respect for the Mikdash. And I'd like to understand what are these three mitzvahs that the Jewish slave is being warned about or commanded on. And the Ramban comments that these three mitzvahs incorporate all the mitzvahs in the Torah. In some way, it encapsulates the essence of the whole Torah. And the Ramban says that a person that is a slave, a Jewish person that's a slave to a non-Jewish master, is exposed to a dangerous environment because it can have an influence on their religious standards. The Ramban says that they now see a master that doesn't keep Shabbos, that serves Avodah Zarah or commits incest, and he's exposed to an environment that can affect his religious standards, and he might think that now I can do these things. And therefore these three mitzvahs of Avodah Zarah, not serving Avodah Zarah, of Shabbos and the Mikdash, is a way of building up resilience to this difficult situation that they find themselves in, and to being able to withstand the pressure of being exposed to this negative environment. And this is what resilience looks at in the research. And the research in resilience, it sees it as a psychological capacity to respond to adverse situations, to respond to difficult situations and circumstances in order to be able to respond, recover, and to stabilize as a result of this difficult situation. And the key factor to being able to do this is to have resilience. But resilience is not, it's seen as a general concept, but within resilience, there are key ingredients that the research tries to look at. What are the key ingredients to building up resilience? And it looks at a person's goals and values, emotional regulation, and tries to look at and identifies these as being key ingredients to being able to build up resilience, to be able to face difficult circumstances. And in the research, it splits resilience into two different categories. One is natural resilience, which they see as like a process in childhood. A child is constantly exposed to difficult situations, and they have to learn from these challenges. They have to learn from this struggle, and through this process of being challenged, they naturally develop resilience. Or there's a deliberate nurturing of resilience, that being exposed to difficult situations and being able to identify the skills and the internal resources that you have, it helps a person to gradually nurture resilience, and therefore when they are faced with difficult situations, they are able to cope with it. So for example, when they are dealing with when a person is faced with a traumatic situation, resilience will help them to respond, and therefore that's why we see perhaps there are people that respond to a traumatic situation in an adaptive way, and they're able to continue to function afterwards, or the people that don't have this store of resilience to call on, and they therefore might develop post-traumatic stress disorder. Or we see it in sports, people that are in high-pressure situations, being able to withstand the pressure, being able to call on the resilience, the internal resource of resilience to be able to face the pressure in sporting situations. Or in the army, we see through army training, the part of the process of army training is to build up this resilience, to identify and to test the level of resilience that a person has in order to be able to cope in the field when they're actually in army, when they're actually serving in their position in the army. So if we look at these three mitzvahs of not serving Avodah Zarah, of the Mikdash and Shabbos, it's giving a message, as the Ramban explains, of building up resilience. And we can look at it as a natural process of resilience, like a child, or as a gradual nurturing of resilience. Because Avodah Zarah in those times, we're told, there was quite a strong Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah, and there was this constant pressure, this constant pull to serve Avodah Zarah. So in a way, it was like a child exposed to an environment. There were constant challenges, and they have to try to respond and to be able to respond in an adaptive way, to learn from the challenges. So too, the Avodah Zarah and this exposure to Avodah Zarah is this natural progression of building up resilience, to be able to be committed to their religious standards and the commitment to Hashem. But also Shabbos, keeping Shabbos every week, or the Mikdash, of going to the Beis HaMikdash 3 times a year. It is a deliberate progression, deliberate process of gradually nurturing resilience, that a person stops on Shabbos to connect with their values and their goals, or a person goes through this process of traveling and coming to the Beis Hamikdash to connecting to Hashem and appreciating the relationship that they have with Hashem. This is a gradual nurturing of resilience and of a commitment to their religious standards. I wish you a good Shabbos and keep well.